Today, on Be Something Wonderful, stop trying to reach for a better feeling thought and do this instead. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, good morning and welcome back. Big video. We released a massive video yesterday that it seems to be resonating with a lot of you. This was called the only manifesting video that you'll ever need, and it really seems to be that way. I want to talk about another email that I got from a subscriber. This is powerful because it relates to that email. This subscriber described themselves as an Abraham Hicks fan, right? They discovered Abraham Hicks in March. And her hope, her desire was to create a more peaceful home environment. And the issue was about putting her kids, especially during bedtime, she has 3 little girls. And the older one and the middle one would not want to go to bed. One would throw a fit. And the other would either not go to bed or stay up or give her mom a real hard time about going to bed. And she said things got better as she learned more about Abraham Hicks and who she is, right? Abraham Hicks has a powerful message, that entity, that non-physical group of non-physical teachers that comes through Esther Hicks, that is channeled through Esther Hicks. A lot of powerful messages there. And one of their messages, reach for a better feeling thought. And there's no question that feeling good feels good. Feeling good is good. But here's the thing. As she was reaching for better feeling thoughts, this subscriber, and there would be some changes now and then, right, in her home environment. Some days would be better, some days wouldn't. But there'd be no permanent change at the identity level, at the reality level. Same old reality, different feelings, different thoughts, sometimes different conditions, right? But they fluctuated, but no real change. Why? And she even said it. She goes, it felt like a lot of effort and struggle to reach for a better feeling thought. Nothing fundamentally changed at the identity level, right? She still identified herself as a mom that struggles with her kids to put them to bed, and that one throws a fit, a mom of those kids. That was her environment. That was her identity. So no matter how many times she would feel better and reach for a better feeling thought, and things would seem to get better, as I've said, when you're feeling good, you can manifest things. You can knock out manifestations. But it all comes at the lower levels of creation. That's why it feels like a lot of effort. You can certainly work your way bottom up. Take some action in 3D reality. Remember, the lowest level is action or physical 3D conditions. These 7 level of creations. There's a playlist on the 7 level of creations if you want to review that. And you can certainly take effort here and you can feel better. Temporarily feel better. Remember, these are temporary conditions. And then you can even you can attract some thoughts from those feelings. And then maybe if you really persist, if you really put a lot of effort, you can change your core assumptions about yourself and reality. And if you do, then you become that identity in that new story. And then you're connected with that I amness of Scripture, that beingness in the Father. But do you see, working your way up is exhausting, right? She was trying to reach for better feeling thoughts. Bottom up effort, struggling, trying to feel better, trying to manifest changes in her life. And as I said, feeling good is good. But it gets exhausted, and you can make changes in your life by taking some actions. Right? But again, those are temporary changes, and you can feel better about certain things temporarily, right? And then if you persist in feeling good, it could attract like thoughts and assumptions, right? And then you could make some fundamental changes in your core assumptions about who you are, and that could become a state of being where you change your identity. But wow, that's exhausting. Why not just go to God? Go to the God that you are. I am that I am. And then identify who you want to be from that new story. the I am of Scripture. Because remember, at this level 6, the Son, awareness or the beingness, and the Father, that's all love, that's all peace, that's gratitude. That's a state of being versus a temporary state of gratitude or a temporary state of having some peace in your household or a temporary state of loving, of feeling love. That's a state of being. This is changing. That's why it feels exhausting. We're going to cover this today and more. So stop trying and efforting to reach for that better feeling thought. This is what she discovered, and it was one of the videos on changing your story. Really one of the videos over the last few days, probably all of them, right? Where she moved to the identity. She told a new story that she's not the mom of kids that are difficult to put to bed or difficult at nighttime. She changed the story that it's not difficult at all. It's peaceful, and they love to go to bed, and they're sweet. And all of that changed. And I'm going to share this with you. But she said her entire experience as a mom has changed. Pretty big here. I want to cover this. Stop trying to think and feel better about a reality that is no longer your choice. Do you see that that's really what she was doing? She's reaching for a better feeling thought to feel good about the reality or the identity that her kids just don't like going to bed. And one screams and shouts and throws fits. I just want to feel better about that. And if I feel better about it, maybe it will change a little bit. Things will get better. Do you see it? That's what it was. And instead of doing that, instead of trying to feel better about a reality or a film role or a life fight, a parallel reality that you no longer choose, an identity that you no longer is your choice, choose the new identity. Imagine and occupy your new reality, right? Don't resist the old one. Don't condemn it. Accept that old reality. Accept that old identity as one quantum possibility. Then choose the new one, right? It's resisting nothing. Stop trying to think and feel better about unwanted, undesired conditions that you're judging, and just stop judging them as unwanted and undesired. Instead of trying to feel better about something that you judge to be unwanted or judge to be undesired, stop judging it as unwanted and undesired, and you'll feel better. But even more than that, go to the identity of what you want to be, and then those conditions, as we've showed. When you go to that identity and identify yourself as Christ, the Son of the living God, and then identifying yourself, I am God and there is no other, and then taking an identity from that self-concept, then the assumptions and beliefs and like thoughts and feelings and actions all follow that. They all align with that identity, as opposed to trying to work your way up from the bottom, trying to do things to feel better, trying to struggle for that better feeling thought, trying to attract like thoughts and assumptions, trying to change things in your environment by working the bottom up. Do you see it? So I just want to stop trying to think and feel better about those unwanted outcomes and simply, or simple, I meant simply here, simply be indifferent, right? Stop judging. Right? Stop labeling these appearances as unwanted. Right? That's why Jesus said, judge not according to appearances. That just keeps you lighting up a reality that's no longer your choice. And that's what was happening. She kept lighting up that same identity, that same reality, even though there would be good days and bad days, good moods and bad moods. Right? Sometimes the kids would be slightly better, sometimes not. Right? So stop telling the old story and then trying to think and feel better about it. Do you see it? That's what she was doing. And she was just, when she felt there was no change, she was certainly feeling the powerful message of Abraham Hicks, right? That non-physical has a powerful message of love, for sure. But she said something wasn't clicking. What wasn't clicking? She was still telling the old story and trying to think and feel better about it, and trying to get some surface changes in her conditions based on that old story, based on that old identity. Do you see? Instead, accept it as one quantum reality, one quantum possibility, one potential story out of an infinite number of realities or stories you can tell, right, that you can occupy, right? And here's her own words, right? This subscriber, she goes, she found Abraham Hicks in March, and this is what she said, that has really opened me up and has made me so aware of who I am. I like that, who I am. So now she has that awareness that she's much more than those conditions. But still, There was a lot that wasn't clicking. I kept reaching for that next best feeling thought, but still felt the effort in trying in all of that. Do you see it? Trying to think and feel better about a reality, identity, a version of reality, a script, a film role that she no longer chooses. That's exhausting, right? She was hoping it will change into what you desire. This is what you do. So just like her, she was hoping that it would change into something that she would desire and want by feeling better about it. Do you see it? That's our hope, that things will get better if we feel better about it. Right? So we'll go for that better feeling thought. She says it here. I knew things could be different and was always so hopeful for the change to happen or manifest by feeling that better feeling thought, but always feeling like it would never truly be better. Wow! Do you see it? Why? She was hopeful because she would reach for a better feeling thought and get some hope there, that things would change or manifest, but always feeling like it would never truly feel better. Why? Because that feeling right here comes from the state of being, comes from who you're identifying with, comes from who and what you're conscious of being. And that's saying you still haven't made the change. You're still that old story. Do you see it? This first one is that temporary thoughts and feelings. Okay, I'm hopeful. I'm feeling better this morning. I'm reaching for that better feeling thought. Maybe something will change or manifest. But then she had this other, more profound feeling that things wouldn't change, that they would never change. Why? Because that's her identity. That's the state of being she was occupying. A mom that kids would just be difficult and will never go to bed and they'll throw fits. That's what she was identifying with. No change in identity or assumption of who you are. No assumption or occupation of that new state of reality. That's why. Right? You weren't changing the identity. You weren't changing that core assumption of who and what you are at that higher level. Right? She had an identity as a mom that has difficulties at home with her kids. And bedtime in the middle child will throw fits. That was the mom. The middle child would throw fits. The older child would not want to go to bed at all. All of that. I'm that mom. But I can be hopeful and I can reach for a better feeling thought, but I'm still that mom. I'm still that identity. Do you see it? Yeah, some improvements now and then, here and there, but no real change. Same old reality, sometimes feeling good, sometimes not. Same old story. Wow, that's powerful. And there you are. There's a picture of it. This is the horizontal experience that she was having, right? The past frame were the kids resisting bedtime and throwing fits. The present frame, trying to reach for better thoughts about that experience. She's pulling all of that into the present and trying to feel better about it. They're still struggling. They're still not going to bed. Sometimes it would be a little easier in that present moment, sometimes not. But it's the same old story. And then she was hoping here, remember that's your future frame, hoping for some improvements, hoping but no real change. Right? Some improvements, but no real change. The reality was the same. Same linear horizontal experience, reaching for different film roles, but ending up with the same old script or similar script. Do you see it? Past, present, and future, but the same old reality. She would move lifelines. We always are. We're always moving film roles. But it would be very similar. Still struggling. Some improvements here and there, but nothing lasting. Old story, old identity, old reality. I'm the mom of 3 little girls. 4, 3, and 1. And there has definitely been some difficulties and has been definitely difficulties in the home, especially around bedtime. And also my middle child would have these fits of rage, right? And so she would have fits of rage that were intense. This is what she says. That's her old identity. Mother of these 3 gorgeous little girls, right? That way, but 2 of them would just not want to go to bed, right? I know we want to stay up late, right? But really difficult, and 1 actually throwing fits of rage. It was tiresome to her. So let's get back to this. Let's get to it. The shift. This is where she went from trying to make things to feel better, reaching for better feeling thought, doing things to feel better. Right? To being what? To being the new identity. A mom that that the kids love to go to bed, that it's easy and it's fun and they're creative and they're joyful, right? After listening to you for this is what she says, going on 3 weeks now, and understanding my I am awareness and the story that I'm telling, my entire world, this is her words, as a mom has shifted. In other words, who I say I am and my relationship to the world of being that identity of a mom has changed. That's what she's saying. That's powerful. My ideal, my I am, expressing itself as a mom has shifted. That's power, right? That's what Jesus was getting at. Who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? Remember, the Son of Man is God's idea of man in expression. The physical 3D manifested experience of the divine you. That's the Son of Man. So who do you say I, the Son of Man, am? That's the question she asked herself, and that's the question she answered. Remember, who do men say? That represents the 3D world. She's allowing the 3D world, those conditions to define her, to tell her story, to tell who she was, that these difficult kids not wanting to go to bed is her story. Right? Who do men say I am? So the disciples answer. Some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, still others say Jeremiah or one of the prophets. In other words, some say that difficult middle child, the one that throws fits. Some say the older one who doesn't want to go to bed or never goes to bed. Right? That's who you are. You're the mom of those kids. Right? You're trying to reach for better feeling thoughts. You're trying to feel better about the limited, undesired identity. That's why the disciples started mentioning all this. Right? You can feel better, like, oh yeah, the kids really are good. And you know, there are times when they go to bed and it's not as difficult. So you say, yeah, John the Baptist, Elijah, all these others. You're trying to reach for that better feeling thought. You're trying to feel better about that identity, feel better about that limited, undesired reality. Some improvements, you manifest stuff, but no real changes at the identity and reality. That's what that answer was for the disciples. Right, all of those are cool. John the Baptist, Elijah, some of them are dead, some of them are alive. Jeremiah, the prophets. But all of that, it's effort, trying to reach for that better feeling thought, trying to feel better about the 3D experience, about what you believe you're identifying with. But Jesus asks them, Jesus presses his disciples, but who do you say I am? And then Peter finally answers, you are Christ, the Son of the living God. That identity, that new story, saying, if I'm Christ, the Son of the living God, then I can select the identity of being in a peaceful, lovely environment with the kids that love to go to bed. Tell a story, imagine your ideal version of yourself, your identity and reality from gazing upwards, right, toward your I amness, the Father, source, and I am. Rather than trying to change and influence or manipulate temporary changes in the messy middle of changing thoughts and feelings. She was in the messy middle trying to change all that we showed at the beginning. Very powerful. Her new identity, her new reality, here it is. Here's a new identity. And she says it. Here's her words. Bedtime has been so easy and undeniably very different. My 4-year-old puts herself to bed now when before she would resist bedtime and want to stay up and not even go to bed. And my 3-year-old, who always had such a hard time that involved screaming and all of that, that's the one that had those intense fits, now goes to bed peacefully. Look at the wording, asking me to sing to her and then tells me I can go now because she's tired. Mom, stop singing. I'm tired now. I'm going to go to bed. That's the girl that was throwing fits. Look at that. It's a new reality. She goes, Tom, this wasn't happening until I changed my story. How did she do it? She just started assuming, imagining, saying to herself, saying to others, I am now the mom of these kids that love to go to bed. It's everything's running smooth, everything's working out. The kids behave peacefully and creatively and fun, and it's just a joy to put them to bed. That's her new story. Right? No matter how many times you try to flip thoughts and feelings, real change comes with the change of assumptions and identity. So she just stopped trying to feel better about those old conditions and instead, in that old identity, and instead chose the new identity, chose the new story. She stopped trying to feel better about that old story, accepted it as one quantum possibility, didn't resist it anymore, and chose the new story, chose the new identity, chose the new reality. That's powerful. So and here's what she says. She goes into her technique. I told a different story. And now my days that used to be hard and difficult have turned into enjoyment and ease. Every day it just gets better and better. That's part of her story now. And my inner talking is much more confident and lining up with my desired end. In other words, I'm in that conviction of being. I believe moms all over the world need to know that parenting doesn't have to be hard, that it's all about the story you're telling. I often just sit in awe, now sometimes for hours, as my children independently play and are so creative, getting along, loving one another. No need for my involvement, just ebb and flow, effortless ease. Parenting is truly a breeze. Wow! That's a powerful new identity. That's a powerful new story. There it is. Wow, that's powerful. And again, it comes from she's no longer at the bottom trying to work her way up, right? Trying to get to this identity of being the mom of these kids that are joyful, and it's ease and it's ebb and it's flow, right? She stopped trying to reach for that better thought and then reach for that better story, that identity, who she really is. And then the thoughts and feelings follow. The core assumptions follow. The like thoughts and assumptions follow. The feelings and emotions follow. The actions follow. All of that. It happens at the identity level. I am Christ, the Son of the living God. I am that I am. That I am, that's peace, love, gratitude as a state of being and not a temporary state of thoughts and feelings. Remember, you're only ever feeling what you're thinking and assuming. And remember, what you're thinking and assuming comes from that identity or concept of what you're identifying with. And as you identify with that, the one and only being the one and only God of Scripture, then those core assumptions like thoughts all follow that. Do you see it? That's powerful. That's what we're talking about there. Right? You're only ever, hear this, those sensations that you call anger, frustration, misery, whatever they are, all of that is just source, the Father, the absolute source energy. There's only one energy, there's only one source, there's only one love. But then we put it through filters of assumptions and beliefs about who we believe we are and our relationship to the world. And that causes us to feel something. But that sensation is just source energy put through a filter that doesn't feel true of our true identity. That's why it doesn't feel good. Do you see it? It's still source. It's still the excitement of source. This is why Bashar says, follow your excitement. Joseph Campbell, follow your bliss. It's still all the bliss of source. But you put it through these false filters, these false assumptions of who you believe you are and not who you really are. That's powerful. Stop trying to reach for a better feeling thought and do that instead. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, thank you. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for liking and sharing and commenting on the videos. Thank you for joining our Facebook group. Wow, I think there was just this morning 40 new members already. It just keeps popping. You can look for us on facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful. The Be Something Wonderful ambassadors, welcome to join to share insight and guidance with others. Also find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Kearin, and also our membership channel. We just released a big live stream that we had live last Sunday, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before. We went live at 9 in the morning from here in the studios in Las Vegas, and I answered questions that you sent on info@besomethingwonderful.com. Keep sending your questions because we're going to have another live stream, and we just released a video several days ago on that membership channel. There'll be another one coming. And so if you've joined, thank you for joining. If you haven't, check it out. This is Tom with Be Something Wonderful here in Las Vegas. Until next time, with great love, with great light and infinite gratitude, creators, we'll see you soon.